Walking side by side with death, the devil mocks their every step. The snow drives back, the foot that's slow, the dogs of doom are howling more. They ask no quarter. Hey, welcome back. This is No Quarter Andrew. How are you? I got a little topic for you today. I was talking previously about passions and having passions in your life, and passions drive you, and that your passions are contagious and they influence other people, and your passions can be your hobbies, and your hobbies can be your job, and your job can be your hobby, and your hobby can be your passion. So I just stumbled across this article on the internet, on the Awesome Daily website, and it's about this Swedish guy lost his job and decided to pursue a career as a snail painter. Yes, it's a real thing. Case in point. Snail painting is a real hobby. And he's got all these pictures of snails, like garden snails, like the size of a couple marbles. The weird Gary snails like SpongeBob has, but they're above water snails. They're not aquarium snails. They're like garden snails. And he's got ones that he's got army green with white stars drawn on. One that says Fight Club. He drew a shark on this snail. He's got a volcano snail where it looks like the snail's point is a volcano and there's lava coming out. He drew the Guinness symbol on a snail. He drew an on-off switch on a snail, so it's called the on-off snail. There's a McDonald's snail. It's just a red shell with golden arches on them. A handicapped snail. Wow. And this one's got a little house on the snail. So this guy took a passion, took an artistic, he's good at art. He took a hobby, he took a skill, and he turned it into a hobby, painting snails. That could be a job, but it's a hobby right now / internet article / there are snail enthusiasts out there like me who keep snails for aquarium purposes, but people have gardens that they keep snails for, and they would totally buy a bunch of like Chicago Bears snails to put in their garden. So this is a potential job. He just has to organize it more, I guess. I don't know. That's just my optimistic view on passions, hobbies becoming passions, becoming jobs. And I'd like this guy to get a job painting snails and selling painted snails to people who like snails, because as a snail owner myself and who has several snails, snails are cool. That is all. That's enough snail mail for the day. I'm gonna encourage all snail artists to spread their snail artistry around the world, but at some point, some people don't like snails, and snails are gross, and they die with salt. So I'm gonna move on this podcast. I got a couple things I want to read. One is Liberty memes, so get ready for some memes out there. I'm probably going to pick the ones that you don't have to see the picture with. And then I got 19 random facts you've probably never heard. Like the restaurant White Castle is America's oldest first hamburger chain. So it's the oldest and first. White Castle. The first White Castle, is it White Castle? No, it's not White Castle. The original Culver's fast food restaurant in Wisconsin. The first one there ever was is in Wisconsin, and I went to the first Culver's there ever was. I get Culver's and White Castle mixed up. They're both white and blue, and they both have, I guess White Castle's got tiny little hamburgers, and Culver's got big, dumb, meaty Wisconsin hamburgers. But White Castle's got Harold and Kumar. Culver's only got like Wisconsin cheese. Let's look at another one here. All right, each year Disneyland uses over 5,000 gallons of paint to maintain the clean appearance of the park. Ew, they just paint over all the gross shit. Aww. 5,000 gallons of paint isn't, I guess, is a lot. Here's one. 12 people have walked on the moon. The last two men were Harrison Schmitt and Eugene Cernan in 1972. So we haven't been back to the moon since 1972. So more than 25 years we haven't been in the moon. So that's at 25, 30, 43 years. 43 years we haven't been to the moon. It's almost 50 years. 2022 will be 50 years. We haven't been to the moon. And only 12 people have walked on it. And they did it between 1968 and I think it was 1969 and 1972. Wow, so 12 people went to the moon in 3 years. And we haven't been back in less than 50 years. Wow, that's weird. I know Neil Armstrong died in 2006, because I just read that. Neil Armstrong was the first person to walk on the moon, and Buzz Aldrin was the second. So those are the first two, and the last two were Harrison Schmitt and Eugene Cernan. So 1969, it was like July, like 20th or 21st or something. 1969 was when they landed on the moon. First time ever. 69 July. And the last time they left the moon, we haven't been back since 1972. So only 3 years. 3 years, 12 people showed up and left a bunch of shit, and we haven't been back. So what if there's like Martians up there and they've been waiting for, they're like, hey, there was 12 people here like 3 years ago, and they haven't been back. What do we do with all their stuff they left? Because there's definitely, we left stuff up there, and I've seen pictures of the stuff we left up there. And I just can't believe we haven't been up there since 1972. I thought it was like in the 80s, or at least late 70s. But I think that makes sense. That totally makes sense. We haven't been to the moon. Astronaut hasn't been to the moon since 1972. Wow. I've seen the, it's called, you want to look at a cool video on YouTube, it's called The Ride of a Lifetime. I forget the name of these two astronauts. It was definitely on one of the Apollo missions after the first Apollo mission to the moon, where they took a rover, a little go-kart, on the moon, and they put it on the moon and they drove around on the moon. And the ride, they literally drive away from like the lander, and they like drive up a crater, and you could see them driving up a crater of the fucking moon. And you hear him talking to like, hey, don't go that way. He's like, I'm gonna go this way, try to make it up this hill. I'm like, what if you fucking get a flat tire? What if you crash your lunar rover? There's no AAA out there. There's no one out there to get you. You have to hike back to your lunar module and then go back to Earth. You are so far away from home. That's why I was like, this is the coolest. It was one of the coolest cruises I've ever seen. And it's just this shitty, like, fixed camera angle, and you see nothing. It's just like white, and then you see black sky and the horizon. But it's, you could tell it's this fucking rover driving around on the moon. Very, very powerful, powerful, powerful action to do that. The moon's so big, and we love driving. It was an American thing. Go figure, Americans were going to drive a car on the moon in 1960 or 1970. God, go figure. So cool. I love that. Love that video. Go home, watch it. It's called The Ride of a Lifetime on YouTube. It's just two astronauts driving around on a lunar rover, driving around like a huge crater. And then they get back, they drive around, they go like, I want to say miles away, I don't really know. They leave the lunar module. They leave with the rover. They drive away from the spaceship that they took to the moon, get in their car, drive away from it. Now they're on the moon. I don't know where they're driving to. There's no like gas station or tourist trap out on the moon. I think they go to a crater. They literally drive up this crater. Like, I'm surprised their shit didn't flip. It's like an ATV. If your ATV flipped on the moon and you got a broken collarbone, you'd be dead. Because you're on the moon. And then they drive back to the lunar module and they're like, hey, you got some gas left in that thing? Or I don't know how it was running. But they take the camera and they film the guy driving it. And they're like, go ahead and do some burnouts. And he literally does freaking burnouts in this lunar rover on the moon, spinning the wheels, spinning the tires, dust flying everywhere. And then he's like, the guy filming, he's telling the guy in the car, he's like, all right, now give it all she's got and turn it. He's like, crank it and turn it. So you see the guy, he just floors it away from the guy at the camera, and then he like slows down and turns. He's like, I ain't gonna floor it and turn it, you're stupid. We're on the moon, stupid. So he like, this thing goes across the moon, and then it slows down, and then it turns around and goes back to where it was, burning out and bouncing on the moon. And it's one of the coolest. It's like old school. It's black and white. If you have an imagination, it's cool. You don't have to go watch it. I found it really, really interesting. I like space. The International Space Station, the moon, anything that's not Earth is cool. If it's not Earth and we've been there, what? That's cool. That's fucking Mars, ISIS, International Space Station, and the moon. That's like it. Everybody's seen the pictures of Pluto that we flew by. But I'm a big fan of NASA and space exploration and physical, what's it called? Astrophysics. Not physical astros. Astrophysics. It's a fun topic. I love the old Cosmos with Carl Sagan, and I like the new one with Neil deGrasse. Space is cool. The moon is cool. Oh, fun fact. It's not on my fun facts. I gave up on my random facts I was going to list to you guys. I gave up on it. But I know a fact that nobody really knows how the moon came about. The origins of the moon are unknown. Ask any scientist, any motherfucker out there. How did we get the moon? And they'll be like, we don't know. It's like really weird how we have the moon. We should not have the moon, is what some people say. Like, we shouldn't have it. It should not be there. And like the dark side of the moon, I got really into the moon for a while, and I like started looking at like it's weird, when you look up at the moon, you always look at the exact same spot of the moon, because as the Earth rotates, the Earth rotates to 24 hours, and the day's done, and it just spins. That's the rotation. I think the moon takes 24 hours to spin too, so they both are spinning at the exact same rate. So if you're always looking at the moon from like Africa, you're always looking at the same part of the moon, because you're at this point of the globe looking up at the moon and you see that part of the moon. If you're looking at the moon from Australia, it's a different part of the moon, because the Earth has moved and so has the moon, so you're looking at a different part. I don't know. It's really, if you're interested in the moon, I did a really shitty job explaining it. It's just that the moon always rotates. You'll never ever see the dark side, because the dark side will never be exposed to us, and because you always see the same spot of the moon. You always see the same rotation of the moon as the Earth rotates, and and everybody knows it takes 28 days for it to circle the Earth, and and I don't know, the moon's fucking cool. I love the moon. I'm gonna look at my time here. I got one more fun fact, but I'll save it for later. Thanks for listening. Ha ha ha, I teased you there. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a good one. Big kiss. Mwah. See you later. Tune in next week. Bye. We hold no quarter.